You're listening to Al Pastor, the show that helps you love God, love your neighbor, and eat more tacos. I'm your host, Pastor Brian. Welcome to the show. Well, hello. I want to welcome you wherever you're listening from. Today, we are going to cover our reading, which is Hebrews 11, verses 13 through 29. And so today what I want to do is we're continuing on the same theme from yesterday. And by the way, if you didn't get a chance to listen to the podcast from yesterday, I think it's very, very important so that we can, here's a fancy word, right, have contextual framework about this beautiful, beautiful chapter, Hebrews 11, which we call the Hall of Faith, the Hall of Faith. And I don't want to belabor what I said yesterday, but these examples should be meditated on, should be thought about. These are examples of folks that endured. And so what is really precious is this little section. And all I want to touch on today are verses 13 through 16. I want to read it. I'm going to play for you something absolutely beautiful. So I hope you're in a spot or a place that you can kind of sit back, relax, let this soak in. So let's read these few verses and then we'll go from there. The Bible says, starting in verse 13, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, were assured of them, embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For those who say such things declare plainly that they seek a homeland. And truly, if they had called to mind that country from which they had come out, they would have had an opportunity to return. But now they desire a better, that is, a heavenly country. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Wow, very, very beautiful. What I'm going to focus in on is the last portion of verse number 13. It says that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Church, we are pilgrims. This world is not our home. What I'm about to play for you is just a little excerpt. I think that it is beautiful. And it's from a wonderful book that's called A Long Obedience in the Same Direction. And so I'm going to play just a portion of this book. It's just a small section, and then I'll come back on and close it up from there. Are you ready?
Tourists and pilgrims. One aspect of world that I've been able to identify as harmful to Christians is the assumption that anything worthwhile can be acquired at once. We assume that if something can be done at all, it can be done quickly and efficiently. Our attention spans have been conditioned by 30-second commercials. Our sense of reality has been flattened by 30-page abridgments. It is not difficult in such a world to get a person interested in the message of the gospel. It is terrifically difficult to sustain the interest. Millions of people in our culture make decisions for Christ, but there is a dreadful attrition rate. Many claim to have been born again, but the evidence for mature Christian discipleship is slim. In our kind of culture, anything, even news about God, can be sold if it is packaged freshly. But when it loses its novelty, it goes on the garbage heap. There is a great market for religious experience in our world. There is little enthusiasm for the patient acquisition of virtue, little inclination to sign up for a long apprenticeship in what earlier generations of Christians called holiness. Religion in our time has been captured by the tourist mindset. Religion is understood as a visit to an attractive site to be made when we have adequate leisure. For some, it is a weekly jaunt to church. For others, occasional visits to special services. Some, with a bent for religious entertainment and sacred diversion, plan their lives around special events like retreats, rallies, and conferences. We go to see a new personality, to hear a new truth, to get a new experience, and so somehow expand our otherwise humdrum lives. The religious life is defined as the latest and the newest, Zen, faith healing, human potential, parapsychology, successful living, choreography in the chancel, Armageddon. We'll try anything until something else comes along. I don't know what it has been like for pastors in other cultures and previous centuries, but I am quite sure that for a pastor in Western culture at the dawn of the 21st century, the aspect of world that makes the work of leading Christians in the way of faith most difficult is what Gore Vidal has analyzed as today's passion for the immediate and the casual. Everyone is in a hurry. The persons whom I lead in worship, among whom I counsel, visit, pray, preach, and teach, want shortcuts. They want me to help them fill out the form that will get them instant credit in eternity. They are impatient for results. They have adopted the lifestyle of a tourist and only want the high points. But a pastor is not a tour guide, and I have no interest in telling apocryphal religious stories at and around dubiously identified sacred sites. The Christian life cannot mature under such conditions and in such ways. Friedrich Nietzsche, who saw this area of spiritual truth at least with great clarity, wrote, "The essential thing in heaven and earth is that there should be long obedience in the same direction. There thereby results, and has always resulted in the long run, something which has made life worth living. It is this long obedience in the same direction which the mood of the world does so much to discourage." For recognizing and resisting the stream of the world's ways, there are two biblical designations for people of faith that are extremely useful: disciple and pilgrim. Disciple, Methetes, says we are people who spend our lives apprenticed to our Master, Jesus Christ. We are in a growing, learning relationship always. A disciple is a learner, but not in the academic setting of a schoolroom, rather at the worksite of a craftsman. We do not acquire information about God, but skills in faith. Pilgrim, parapaidimos, tells us we are people who spend our lives going someplace, going to God, and whose path for getting there is the way, Jesus Christ. We realize that this world is not my home, and set out for the Father's house. Abraham, who went out, is our archetype. Jesus, answering Thomas's question, "Master, we have no idea where you're going. How do you expect us to know the road?" gives us directions. I am the road, also the truth, also the life. No one gets to the Father apart from me. John chapter 14, verses 5 and 6. The letter to the Hebrews defines our program. Do you see what this means? All these pioneers who blazed the way, all these veterans cheering us on? It means we'd better get on with it. Strip down, start running, and never quit. No extra spiritual fat, no parasitic sins. Keep your eyes on Jesus, who both began and finished this race we're in.
Wow, wasn't that just beautiful? I don't know about you, but you might want to go back and listen to that again and just meditate today on Hebrews 11:13. What does it mean to be a pilgrim? Are we a tourist or are we a pilgrim? We're disciples on a journey, a long obedience in the same direction. And today's reading, we've got some folks, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, who are some great examples of what it means to be strangers and pilgrims on this earth. Listen, I hope you have a blessed day. As always, if there's anything whatsoever that I can help you with, maybe an insight, maybe something you saw that I didn't, something you want to contribute, maybe a thought, maybe a challenge, reach out to me. And we'll see you on the next episode. God bless. Thank you for listening to Al Pastor with Brian Overturf. If you found value in this, please subscribe and get updates. Most places podcasts are available. We're right here on Anchor FM through Spotify, also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. I hope you'll tune in for the next episode. Until then, we'll see you later.